Everyone, Dr. Weird 28 here. In today's video, I wanted to go over money making for scavs on Interchange. I know most people, when they're playing Tarkov and they're doing their scav runs, typically prefer Lighthouse or Streets of Tarkov, as in general they have a loot superiority, and it's easier to come out with some decent kits, whether they're rogues or potentially PMCs that are found. But when it comes to strictly money making, one factor to consider is time in versus time out of raid. And Interchange is one of my favorites because it's not very populated, partially due to the sound design, but two, people just prefer not to play it quite as much with how ratty it is. But also, it's a small map in general for how fast it is to get in and out of the raid. So you might spawn in with 20 minutes and be able to fill up your bag with decent enough loot in 10 minutes and extract, versus you might spawn in with like 35 minutes left on Lighthouse and can take your time looting up there, but you might have done 2 scav runs at Interchange in the one time that it took you to do 1 at Lighthouse. So it's based on preference. So I was going to go over some of my strategies for looting on Interchange depending on how your spawn is. So let's say we spawn outside. Something that I recommend doing is just doing stash runs. So there are lots of stashes that look like this sort of one here. And you can see all sorts of loot can come here. You can make a lot of good money. In fact, some people actually run their PMCs for money making and just run the stashes on Interchange. Included in that could be go to power and hit the toolboxes there. Another duffel bag here. Another stash around here. Maybe that's a little further. It's right here. And then there's another one further down there. And you just can work your way around the entire map. Now, it does take a little bit of learning to see exactly where these are, but I recommend using something like Map Genie. And you can see I have the caches set up here. So we started here, and then we were hitting these different ones, but I didn't even include duffel bags. If I include that... no, it's not other loot. Duffel bag, there we go. You can see that adds on to what's kind of around here. So that's something, and there's a ton inside if you were to go inside. But that's one way to at least run through that and then extract and get some pretty decent loot. Now, if you spawn in the Ollie sort of the map, this is an excellent money-making location as well. What I'd recommend is check all of the shelves. Like, for example, back in this area on the lower level, you can find a lot of motors, fuel, water filters, pressure gauges, thermometers. There's a motor. And you're always considering, how do I get at least 10,000 ruble value per slot? Hopefully more. That's a starting point. Now, how much you add on to it is kind of dependent on how much time you want to take, but there are lots of little computers here you can check to see what kind of loot they have. Work your way through the store. There, car batteries can spawn in Ollie as well. There's some duffel bags. A lot of loot that you need for several early to mid-level tasks can be found in Ollie. So definitely a location that can be worth going to. Think of it kind of like a Home Depot or a Lowe's as far as your loot goes. I'm going to show you on the Map Genie. So I'm going to turn off caches and PC blocks. You can see this is Ollie here. There are a lot of PC blocks in the Ollie area that you could check if you want to. Now, some of them are behind some locked doors over here, but all these here are very accessible. If you go to Ollie or Idea, there's a couple there and a couple here by Goshen as well. It's up to you. To me, I have to spawn there and want to be checking it, but it very often is hit. There are a few over by the computer as well. Now, if you are by Ollie, I would say it's worth taking the time to hit the tech stores as well. Again, because of how limited people play this map in general. And when they do play it, they're specifically more so looking for tasks. A lot of times the tech stores are not looted. So the 3 tech stores you want to check are Rasmussen here. Check on all the shelves on the side and on these little counters. You can check in furniture, although I feel like you're not finding stuff quite as often as you used to there. Texho. Check all the shelves in there. And then coming up to Tech Light, check all the shelves in here as well. Now, do be careful. Obviously, any place there's loot, there's a good chance people are camping or you'll run into other people. But unless you have something that's super valuable, I think it's worth checking them just based on how often people don't come to Interchange. Now, Goshen is more like a grocery store sort of part of the map. And there are a couple areas you specifically want to check in Goshen. Back in these lockers here, check inside all of them. You can find gold chains, chainlets, Bitcoin, GP coins. Back here you have a duffel bag and a weapons box. Going through there's some more computers if you want. And then if you go to the exact opposite side over there, there's even more computers. I don't typically try and hit computers because I don't think that they're worth the time for how little you get back. But you definitely can get some GPUs. Power cords are worth holding on to, as 2 power cords crafts 8 wires, and 8 wires at about 9 or 10,000 a wire adds up quite a bit for just a total of 4 slots if you can get 2 power cords. Now, the big thing that I probably hit most commonly when I'm in Goshen are these shelves back here. So if you check down here, down there, down there, down there, down there, and then all along the back wall, you can find all sorts of food items. You're looking for specific values. So condensed milk goes for like 12 or 13K. Peas, not really worth it. The food items that I look for most commonly, I would say, are Max Energy, Tarcolas, Hot Rods, Squash, Sprats, Herring, Tashankas, large or small, condensed milk. Those are probably the most common. MREs and Iskras as well. Now, early wipe, this area is a lot more picked over because people need the items for specific tasks. But you get a little bit more towards the middle of wipe. A lot of these areas just get left unlooted. And if you can grab like a small can of Tashanka goes for like 8 or 9K, while a large can might go for 10 or 12K. Herring goes from 10 to 15K. And part of the reason is they just either barter that well or trade that well to a vendor, or they could be used for barter for something like a food case. Some of them are used for, like Sprats and Squash, I believe, are involved for the barter for a shotgun from Jaeger that has a fleur on it. So that's worth considering if you spawn in this area, or if one of the other paths is pretty empty. Now, another one that I recommend is running along the back side of the map. So I'm going to bring this up here. We're going to turn off PC blocks, and let's look at duffel bags and toolboxes. I'm going to turn off duffel bags at first. So if you look along here, the back side of the mall, we got toolboxes galore coming through all the way to the back of the mall. And so let's say I spawn idea. I might check those PC blocks that are here, but then I'll come back and just literally run the toolboxes while going through there. And there are some duffel bags along there as well. You can see it adds a few. I wouldn't be overly focused on that. And then on top of the toolboxes, you got shelves as well that can have things like hand drills, pliers. Different types of pliers might be worth 17 or 18K. Thermite is going for like 70 to 100K on the flea. Dry fuel goes for like 26, 27K. There are some weapons boxes as well that if you're wanting to check, like there's one there. There's another one over there. There's another one over there. But you can just kind of run along the back of the mall hitting all those. So it might be worth having your map up as you first run through so you can see all these things. I would say in general, those are my top pathways that I would take. Is either I'm hitting the stashes if I spawn outside. Or if I spawn Ollie side, I'm searching Ollie. If I spawn in idea, I'll check in there, and then I might run through here. Goshen, I might check over the food. Now, if for some reason you spawn in the area you're checking seems to be hit. So, for example, let's say I'm running along the backside here checking the toolboxes, and someone else is ahead of me doing the same thing. Or I check quite a few and they seem to be hit. Then I'll just go to one of the other paths. So, like, if I'm doing this, oh, you know what? I'm going to go check food, and I'll grab food. Oh, you know what? I might check the computers, or I'm going to go over to the tech stores. But if I find that it's unhit, I'll just kind of work my way through that and get out. It's all about efficiency in my mind. A similar map is probably Reserve. Reserve is another relatively small map where you can do a lot of your looting and get out quickly. And to me, that's one of the keys, because then you can reset, go do another PMC, get back into Scav if you're trying to make money. Or by the time you're done selling stuff, you might be getting close to running your Scav again. It's really up to how you want to play it. If you guys have any other specific things you want to see and learn about in Tarkov, feel free. Otherwise, this is just a quick and dirty version of how to Scav Interchange. Until next time, keep it weird.